Alrighty, looks like we're live for this Insomniac stream here at Christ Centered Ironworks. So, if you do pop in, remember to hit a like and drop me a chat. Let me know you're around. So, so for those of you who are going to watch this on the playback tonight, I am working late in the shop. So what I'm working on right now is actually some customer orders here at the CNC bed. So I'm getting ready to do some nesting and everything on the computer and putting it over there and get it cut this evening. So if anybody does show up to the stream, it'll be an interesting little test. If no one does show up to the stream, you'll never see it. So, all right. I'll get started here and wait for people to pop in. If I don't see your chat, just say hello, and I'll try to scroll back to you here in a little bit. So, hello, KBI Ironworks. Dennis Mecco, hello. Hello. Carter Ironworks, hello. Rusty Hubcap, good to see you. Rob, good to see you. So, welcome everybody to an Insomniac live stream here at Christ Center Ironworks. So I'm working late in the shop this evening. I've been on about a 4, almost 5 day run of very little to no sleep. I go through this on occasion, bouts of insomnia, and where I might get a couple hours a night tops, and then all at once it will hit me, and I'll sleep for like 28 hours straight. So, yeah, Corin 81, sleep is for the weak. That's right. That's right. So, anyways, since I'm up, I might as well be working and getting orders done. And that whole deal. I know we didn't go live for the regular Friday night live stream that was originally going to be this evening. But I had too much work to do to keep up with. So I was going to miss the timeline, so I didn't know whether I was going to go live or not, but I figured since I'm going to be in the shop here for another few hours, might as well go live and see who's all up. So, and howdy, Mr. Crawford, Rusty Hubcap, good to see everyone. So, recovering from open heart surgery, so sorry to hear that. Hey, Manga 12, good to see ya. Ain't seen you in a little bit. Good to see ya. So, yep, I'm awful late. So we've been going for 2 minutes and 52 seconds as of right now. So, kind of late to start a stream, isn't it? So this evening, I've got some custom cutting to do on the CNC bed, on the plasma bed. So I'm going to try to make it as interesting as possible. Obviously, talk to people in their chats and things. I'm going to switch the camera angle here in just a second and show you guys the screen when we get to actually nesting, doing some nesting on this, and then maybe show you guys some of the cutting and maybe give you a little shop tour of some of the other stuff that I've been up to, a little behind the scenes action here at Christ Centered Ironworks. So we'll do that here in just a little bit. I'm going to pull up some of these customer files real quick. And just for their, I'm not going to show off my customers' names and stuff, but just for their own privacy sakes here on YouTube. But I am going to get this whole bad boy started by getting their stuff on my list, and then I'll start nesting it and all of that good stuff. And you guys can get to see in all of that action. Find that button shielded. Boom. Don't save. It's all in the setup, folks. It's all up in the setup. Well, cool. I'm glad you come by anyhow there, buddy. Yeah, 7:30 a.m. That's going to hit early, that's for sure. And evening, Sully. Sully's here. Or Alexis, good to see you. What's up? All the way from across the world. So, Yeah, Manga 12. Unfortunately, Thomas is no longer helping me because Thomas passed away, unfortunately, at the beginning of the year. And quite unexpectedly. So I have been solo in the shop for a hot minute. So for a hot minute. KB Ironworks. My brother and I were going through my late grandpa's tools and such this afternoon. He was an antique dealer, and I found a wrought iron belly lamp, probably dating to turn of the 19th century. That's really cool. Yeah, Manga Thomas was a year younger than I am. I'm turning 38 this year, um, so he had just had his birthday. He was just like 37. So. Where was I? Custom jobs folder. JJJ. Custom firm 12-inch. 6 of them. Boom. Whoa, not 67 of them. 8-inch firm. 6 of them. 6-inch firm. 6 of them. Yeah, Rob. Old fart, ain't I? My age is starting to match my soul. I've always been an old soul, and now I'm getting older and older. I'm still young, though, so. Yeah, Corin A1, I am a youngin'. I'll take it. Hard to believe I'm 38, huh? Yep, yep. Alright, next person. Put their thing on here. I'm going to turn you all over here in a second so you can see the nesting screen. Yay. Oh, I remember these. These were a booger to drill. I still have a bunch of them to do. Might as well cut 42 of those. Enter. And change out my leads. Hey, Roger Caldwell. Good to see you. I am doing okay. I'm on a bit of a run of some insomnia, so I'm out working in the shop. Figure I might as well be productive with myself than just laying inside trying to watch a movie or something. All right. Nope, Jessica's not with me tonight. She's inside. She's I don't know what she's doing. I think she's probably just tied in the house and stuff. And here in a little bit, she might be asleep. Long before I go to sleep, I can assure you that. I'm going to try to flip you guys around. Hopefully this won't cause the stream to go crazy. Let's flip it around. See if I can't point you guys in a way that makes sense so you can see what's going on. Going for a little ride, folks. Going for a little ride. I don't know if that focuses in somewhat. Probably not. That looks like that focus, maybe. JIJ, Forge and Fishing. Thanks for stopping by anyways there, pal. Good to see everybody showing up. So, all right. So, here's a little taste of what it tastes like. trying to do this stuff. So on the left hand side over here, I've got like my parts list, things I'm supposed to nest. This is like Pro Nest here for my plasma bed. It's called Pro Nest. It's the company that makes it. It's actually put on by Hypertherm, and it's got basically, it has a bunch of presets in it, and so that way you don't have to keep writing up all your presets each and every time. So it has a strategy option. You can choose 1 through 5. It does different things on the screen. But it's supposed to think and auto-nest things for you in an intelligent way. Well, sometimes it does. Other times, it's really dumb. So we're going to see. We're going to see if we get lucky and it actually nests everything like it's supposed to. If it doesn't, then I have to then I have to manually go in and nest this stuff. But we'll let the computer work here and see if it can find a solution I'm happy with that eats up the most amount of plate. It's not half bad. As you can see, it still leaves something to be desired a little bit. So that's strategy 5. So I can clear the nest and I can try a different one. We'll do strategy 4 and we'll auto nest it and see what happens. It's kind of a neat bit of technology. Sometimes it'll go a little tighter, with a different strategy. It's kind of okay. It might not get much tighter than this, but see, I can still grab this and move this in tight. And actually, I could move this over a little bit, and I could snooker this thing down in there. See, you can grab on parts and pull them in tighter and create even more space to where, again, you don't have to go so far out. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to go to strategy 3. Check out strategy 3 for this nest. Obviously, it's not going to take up the whole plate. Woo! That's really terrible. That's not great at all. So, strategy 3 is a no-go. Strategy 2. This one's going to be terrible, I bet. Oh, yeah, it's all over the place. Like, all these things are getting more and more spaced out as you go here. So we'll go strategy 1 and see what happens. Auto nest. Again, still weird. Still weird the way it does it. So I'm probably not going to use any of those. But I can also grab on parts and I can bring them down one by one and set them in and adjust them and tweak them until I've got them kind of the way I like them. And then I could do like a pattern array where it'll load all of those parts in a tight formation, which that's kind of what I like right there, because it keeps them all together. So now I'll go with my 8-inch ferns. I'll do the same thing with those. I'll adjust that part to where I get it to where I like it. I'll hit pattern array, see what happens. Okay, it's going to stack them like that. I can live with that. Move all these over. Actually, I'm going to rotate it. Let's go here. So half the problem is figuring out plate usage, in this business, because it's real easy. It's real easy to use up too much plate. Have too much negative space. That ain't hateful. But I also don't want these to fall between the bed slats of my plasma bed. Yeah, I'm not really happy with the way this is shaping out, so I think I'm just going to delete that off. I'm going to hand stack instead. This is like the longest part of this whole ordeal, is this right here. Taking and figuring out how things fit and getting the nest as tightly packed as possible. And seeing if you can beat the machine. That's the other part. Rotate that down a little bit. Rotate that down a little bit. A little better. Not too bad. It's getting tighter. See if we can make this go nice and snug, just like that. Snook it right there. So this is the game. This is what life looks like. Boring, ain't it? It's all like computer work. And computer work is nasty, and I don't like it. But I don't get the choice sometimes. There's worse things to do for money. Alright, got most of those nested. I swear there's method to this madness. It'll be over here in a second, folks, and we'll get on to more entertaining stuff. I'll answer everybody's questions here in a second. Flip this around. It's like Tetris, but for adults. Alright, now this is where it'll get interesting. Gotta find a way of doing these. A way that fits nicely in here. And give me the least amount of tip-ups. That's one of the keys. I don't know if it looks like it to you guys, but it is a lot tighter than, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it is actually a lot tighter, more use of the space on this plate than what it was previously on their Strategy 5. Now, sometimes if I'm just lazy, I will just go with whatever it recommends, even if it's eating up more plate than it should, just to save time. Sometimes it's just like, it's not worth the extra time sitting here. In doing all of this, because sometimes literally it's just too slow of a process, and I've got stuff to do. I've got other things I'll have to do, and if that's the case, then I won't waste a whole boatload of time on this project, on this process here. I'll just like whatever it does, and I'll just run plate all day long. So it doesn't matter what it comes out to or what shape it is or how much plate usage there is. It's just more important that I get it done and out the door, like on quick turnaround time type jobs. That'll be more important than how tightly it was nested. But since you don't make, contrary to popular belief, the funny thing about CNC work is you don't actually make that big of margins on CNC work. There's not really that much money to be had per even though like it may seem like blanks are expensive or whatever, there's really not that much margin, which is your profit. When I talk about margin, there's not a whole bunch of meat on the bones left over by the time you're done paying taxes, by the time you're done paying for materials and the tips and stuff to cut it and the electricity and everything else that goes into it. There's not the margins are pretty slim on these, so you got to sell a boatload of them. And so where you can really make a good amount of profit otherwise, all considering, is by making sure that you don't send a lot of your steel that you paid for to the scrapyard. That's kind of a big key there. You don't want to take and sell. You don't want to end up sending a bunch of your hard-earned cash to the scrapyard. Because I get my steel for about 97 cents a pound. It does fluctuate a little bit, just depending on what the market's doing at any one given time. But I'll get my steel for, say, 97 cents a pound. And then when you sell it back to the scrapyard, it's like a nickel. You get about a nickel a pound for it. So, and I think we could all agree that's not a fair exchange. I should probably enter one of those Tetris championships. I think I'd at least get to round 2 maybe in one. I'm awfully good at this. Or so I think. How we doing? Everybody finding this interesting? I think I just saw somebody said it would be cool if it gives you an estimate on the remaining sheet. There are things that you could do where, like, when you go out, you can go with, like, reports. So you go over here to, like, reports. And go to part summary. And it'll tell me what I've got and roughly the production time, how much weight it is, the size it takes up, what it's calling for material, whatnot. It tells you how many you have versus how many you have nested. So that's a part summary. Then there's a job summary for the nest. So right now, the current amount of stuff, so it does tell you this. So the plate used right now, my plate usage is 42.22%. Total rectangular area used is 55.26% of the plate has been used. Yeah. And then it starts telling you kind of what your material cost of parts are, like per part. It's roughly averaging $3.75 a part right now, according to the production cost, how long it'll take to cut it, things like that. Obviously, that's going to change as I add more items to this list, because it factors in it factors in a certain amount of material cost per part that you're putting on. So the more parts you have, it spreads out that material cost per part, if that makes sense. Throw that on there. Boom. We're just grinding through this real quick. As you can see, it's a lot faster to use the actual ProNest software to think, but we'll see how close we can get it on, part plate usage here. Now this is going to become a partial plate, and so what that means is I'm not going to put anything else on this. I'm going to save this file. I'm going to save this file as a partial plate, and then I'll save it under a name for like partial plating, and under 16 gauge a category. So when I could put this back on, I can refine my 0 in this corner, and I can continue to cut nest. So I'll do that by just hitting save, and I got to write a name on this. I usually go 16 gauge mild steel, PARTIAL, partial plate, and then I'll give it a date. Today's date 7-24-2026, and then I will save that under partial plates, mild steel 16 gauge, and I'll hit save. And so now it'll save that profile, and now I can output it. So right now it looks pretty good. One of the other cool things this thing does is I can go into cut simulation mode, and here's a good place where I can you can play with the speed, but it'll show you a little cut simulator. I don't know if you guys can see the little stylus there moving. Can you see that? So you can watch it and see if it's actually going to do what it's supposed to do. You can speed it up. You can also check for conflicts before you start cutting. What do you guys think? That's pretty cool, huh? So I can close the cut simulation. And so now that we've got this all nested out, now I can actually go back to reports again. I can go in and I can find job summary. All right, plate used. Of the total plate area, I've only used up 44.54% of the plate. So that's what I've got, used up of the total plate. Yeah, so pretty cool. Like I said, there's all sorts of stuff you can go on here. It's neat. Let's see here. I want to look up. Need to go back to part summary. It's going to tell me. I need the time. Hold on. It's under part detail. There it is. So for these big 12-inch ferns, production time is 31 seconds apart. All parts, so there's a total of 3 minutes and 3 seconds for all the 12-inch ferns. These 8-inch ferns will be 2 minutes and 17 seconds. These 6-inch ferns will be 1 minute 56 seconds for all six of them in total. And then these dogwood flowers will be 7 minutes and 26 seconds for all 42 parts. So that gives you an overall, so you can kind of say, oh, okay, like this is going to take me 30 minutes roughly to cut. And then you can say, all right, it's going to take me 30 minutes to cut, no problems. Now I know how long, whether I can do this before the end of the day or, something like that, which is cool. I'm going to go launch my fire control software now. This will be for the actual plasma bed. So not just as simple as drag and drop and cut, huh? Oh. Take care, Roger Caldwell. God bless you, brother. Thanks for coming and visiting this evening. So now I can open that up in this program. Bam! There she be. So hopefully all this is in good shape and we won't have any weird whoopie-doos or anything else. There won't be any problems with this nest. I think we'll be alright. Cool. That's all ready. Let's flip it around. Woo! So as you can tell, a lot going on, huh? See what else. See who we've got talking here. Let me go back. That, sorry. Vanlot 7780, hello. All right, if anybody was asking me questions while I was going through all that and I wasn't seeing the comments, you can ask again, but ay. All right, so that's pretty cool. So now I just got to take and set up. I got to hook up all my air, all that good stuff. Check out some things here real quick. Be back just a second. Make sure the air is good. Turn the machine on. Good. Vanlot, good to have you. Jack in the shop, hello. Welcome to anybody who's new. So this is not one of my regularly scheduled live streams. Usually we do one a month. This one I just figured, again, I was working super late. I was supposed to do a live stream earlier today from 7 to 9 p.m. but earlier in the day, but I wasn't going to make that timeline, and so decided to take and go live a little bit later on since I have a lot of work to do in the shop. That's not blacksmithing work, but I decided I'd do it anyhow, and have you all enjoy this insomnia that I have. So just finished a 5-hour live. Wow, you're a trooper. I think the longest I've ran on a live stream is 4 hours so far. And I don't think anybody likes it for that long. There's been a lot of people who joined me for a live stream that were like, "You're still going?" They left and they came back, for, they left for like 2 hours and came back like, "Oh my God, you still going?" I'm like, "Yep, still going," So, hey, very awesome, Vanlot. Glad to have you. Welcome to the channel. We're fun and friendly around here, and great group of people. Great, got a great community around. So, if I don't answer your questions, there's a lot of great minds in the chat that can answer them for you too. So, these ones have sat through 4-hour streams when there was steel being beaten. Yep. That's a much easier stream to take and sit through, obviously, when steel's being beaten, for sure. Jack in the shop, awesome. So glad to have you guys. Thanks for joining, for the subscribing. I appreciate y'all. Oh. Alright. Oh! This reminds me of my low-budget streams of old. Been on YouTube a long time. I'm like regressing. I'm getting worse as time goes on. So, oh. So welcome to this a wonderful show. All right, I'm gonna flip this around so you guys see the table there. I gotta get this aligned. And this is something new this year that I did. I put a laser on there, a little laser pointer. So I should be able to jog this back now. And hopefully it'll line me up square where my zero's at. So here we go. Let's see here. That doesn't look too half bad. I almost nailed it first go around. All right, that's good. Good there. Come back a little bit. I'm gonna leave it there. Sweet. Now I'm zeroing all my axes, making sure they're zeroed. Everything looks good. Ooh, pretty green glow. Now I can turn that off. I've got this little flexi funnel on here, and what it does is it stops a lot of the ambient light, looking at it, so you're not looking at the art directly, so you're not getting flashed. But one of the other things it does is it helps keep the blowback of the water from coming back up and really getting on all of my sensitive Z-axis stuff. Which grinds down the Z-axis. I'll add some water to the bed. With my fantastic Home Depot bucket. Hashtag not a sponsor. I actually did that one year at a quad state blacksmithing gathering. I had a bunch of Home Depot buckets that I had all my tools stowed in just for the event. And so I actually crossed out Home Depot and I wrote in hashtag not a sponsor on them. For funsies. Alright. So water's filled. I think we're good to go. Power's on. We should be ready to cut. Okay, so for everybody who's listening in, go ahead and turn down that volume dial in your ears there. Because when I fire this off, it's going to be a little loud. So I'll let it run for a few minutes. We'll see what comes off of this. And then, we'll go from there. But I just want to let everybody know. And come up a little closer. It's going to get loud for a second. So, you've been forewarned. Turn down your audio if you need. Alright, without further ado, here we go. Let's try her. There's one. Take care, Rob. fishing things out of the drink. It's not super tough, but more an annoyance than anything. I know, you may have the thought, why don't you use that magnetic wand to pull things out of the drink? Well, simply put, all those little BBs and globules that come out of the cut on the plasma cutter there, they find their way up into the drink as well. So you just end up crudding up the magnet real quick when you're pulling it through. You don't end up getting all the stuff you're wanting to get. That's it from that side, I think. Yep. Good there. Grab the other side. Find what's down in here. It's like going fishing. But nastier. Not as nice. I think we got everything. Sweetness. There's only the one. Right on. Whew. Remember, dirty hands, clean money, folks. But I do like dry hands better. Giboron? Hello, hello. Yeah, that little suction thing that you're noticing is that cup. It's that cup kind of getting some, what it is I think it's like a bit of an eddy. So the air, when it, when it's puffing out, it's getting some backflow, right? And then when it shuts off, or when it comes back down, it creates a little puff of wind, and that's where you see that quick little puff that it does like that. Sometimes it's because it's actually engaging, it's coming down, actually touching the steel just a little bit because the steel buckles as it cuts, and sometimes, and then you get that little, what looks like a suction. Oh, all right. Get my laser beam here real quick. Back there here in a second. She's ready to go for the next one. Boy. Yeah, dirty hands equals dirty clothes. That's right. Stephen Parsons. Love you, brother. Yeah, but what if you want clean hands but dirty money? Well, can't say live. Oh, there's always an option for dirty money out there. Just how creative you are with it. Just don't get caught. Boy, bae. Spencer Coots, love it. Dirty hands equals spending more on soap. Yes. Yes. Yes, well, technically, yes, you are correct. Or you wear gloves. That's also another option. So sometimes I'll wear some nitrile gloves. Most of the time I do. Just, you know, if I'm being lazy or I just don't want to take the time out to do it real quick. You know, I just won't. Like if I have a few pieces to grab. If I have a whole bed cleanup where I put a whole bunch of stuff, I've cut a whole bunch of little parts, like little keychains, and they've all fallen down in there, yeah, I'm going to have my hands in it for a long time, then most certainly I throw on some nitrile gloves. For certain. For certain. It's slippery when you're using the toilet spoon. It's slippery. Slippery business. Alright. Well, I got those 2 orders cut for, which is good. That was one of my main objectives. I need to get cut for tonight. Work on that other hardware some other time. Jack in the shop. No, I do not do fiber laser work. I cut the keychains on the plasma. I do, however, have a fiber laser that I'm working on setting up, but I haven't got it all set up just yet. It was a bit of a crud show, if you know what I mean, from the company. So it's taken a lot more work to even get to stage 1 on it than what it should be. But hey, that's the way it works sometimes. Sometimes you think you're advancing yourself forward and phooey, it doesn't work. I'll show you one of these keychains. Show you from my home state, Michigan here. So here's a keychain. Oh, you do fiber laser stuff. Cool. So there's well, it's the wrong way around. But there's a bit of what it comes off like for a plasma cutter. So there's a little bit of draw. Still needs some cleanup. One thing I hope the fiber laser will do for me when I get it up and going and get my settings dialed in is I'll reduce a whole bunch of cleanup, dross cleanup. That's my main concern. I spend last year between Thomas and I, during the last quarter of the year, we spent 160 man hours on just wire wheel stuff, cleanup stuff for all of the blanks that we sell. So yeah, it's it's a pretty big ordeal. So I'm hoping that the fiber laser I can get better results with way less dross load. If I can, that'll be great. Knight of Tickling Armor. I love your name. That's great. Is this a 3 seashells kind of thing? The toilet spoon. It's an inside joke. I was taught about how blacksmiths, if you want to make better sales, you got to stop taking pictures of cutlery, your cutlery or your spoons and forks, like sitting on your toilet seat, or whatever. And then everybody came up with like, oh, toilet spoons, you should do that as a challenge, and people make it. Turns out, historically, toilet spoons were actually a thing. And so, I've never made a toilet spoon. Don't plan on it. But it was pretty hilarious, so. Everyone was just joking and then ended up finding out that historically there is actually a such thing as a toilet spoon, which is nuts. Yeah, exactly. Having things in native marketing, taking good photos, because you can have wonderful ironwork, but if you take garbage photos, no one's going to buy it, and that's so bad. That's so bad for most. I hate seeing that for various artists out there. They just take a terrible photograph, and it's like, man, you'd probably sell 50 of those things if, or couldn't keep them on the shelves if you just took a little bit better, took a little more time with the cell phone, Used to be you couldn't get a good photo with a cell phone if you weren't using DSLR or some other type of, camera, like high-end camera. You weren't going to get a good photo regardless. If you had a little point and shoot or something, that wasn't even that good. But now phones are just about as good as any type of camera out there that you can get, and you get pretty high quality photographs of your stuff. So should be no excuse to take good pictures, of your ironwork, because it sells it. It sells it at the end of the day. Well, if you all like, I'll take you around. I'll show you the laser side of the shop real quick. This is something I've been working on in the back end, evenings, weekends, when I've got time, and when I have time to pull my hair out. And if I'm walking too quick for everybody, and if it gets choppy, let me know. This side of the shop is insulated now, so here's the laser shop door. This wall, put that across there. For those of you who are new, this is my shop. Out there is my forging area. And we can go out there in just a minute. And back here, that's the plasma bed I was just using. There's a bunch of racking for a whole bunch of blanks that I sell. That's not all of them. A lot of them we don't even have on the shelf. We just cut them on demand. And then, I got a welding table back there, air compressors, grinders, buffers, kind of the whole kit and caboodle. So, got some electric ran to my laser shop, which is good, all the way from the panel. And now let's go through the door. There you go. You got to see it. Let's just go all the way. So you can tell, different lighting. It's a little bit brighter in here. So we're still under construction. Hopefully I won't drop out the stream on this, so let me know if I go haywire, but hopefully I won't. But yeah, so got all my electrics in. It has a chiller that comes with it. I guess I should probably shut that door. That way I can show off all my good stuff. Show off all my awesome stuff in here. So, all my electrics going over to the machine. Here's the laser bed. And so let me flip you all around. I can show it off better. Boop. So here we are. So I still got some vent pipe to run for it. This is the Langmuir Systems Apollo CNC fiber laser. I chose to get in on the pre-order for that, and I will never be doing pre-orders again, ever, for any reason whatsoever. I did not know the pre-orders were going to be the guinea pigs, and so here we are. I'm the guinea pig, and so are a whole lot of other people. So somebody later on in a year or two will be getting awesome machines shipped to them, thanks to guys like me and other people that have done such stuff. So let me set you down here. I'll turn on the rest of the lighting here. I'm going to set you all down. You're going to be looking at the floor for a moment. Oh, ta-da! Oh, all on. Unplug. All right, here we are. Woo! There's a blower that goes on this thing that I've got hardwired in with the lights for it, so I didn't want that to be running. So I had to put in all this lighting in here. It doesn't come with all of that. It actually only came with that little 10-watt bulb over there, which is kind of piddly poor. Yeah. Steve Parsons, you're going to be waiting a while for that. So as you can see, I got a full 4x8 sheet. There is a cutting area of full 4x8. So I can at least do that, which is good. Yeah, I haven't even got that far yet. Obviously, I still have to hook up my chiller. I have to hook up my gases. All of the wiring, that's all custom by me. None of that comes with it. The whole enclosure is not assembled when you get one. I still haven't figured out how to get the camera to work yet, which is kind of silly, but it's one of those things that was a main feature of it. I still have to figure that thing out. So, yeah, so this is, so it's a 1.5 kilowatt laser head on there. It can cut, they say up to 1/4 inch. Oh, it can go a little more than 1/4 inch thick material. And I would say that 1/4 inch is probably going to be its limit. I don't know. Usually whenever a manufacturer tells you it's a lot, you derate it probably by 20% at least. And that's where it's more comfortable at. But I hope to be able to use this for my 16 gauge material and for my 10 gauge material I cut all the time. I cut copper, I cut stainless, and so I'm hoping this is going to work out well for those and help reduce the dross load. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, yep. So full 4x8 bed. So we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, it's come out pretty well. It looks pretty good for what it is. And come over here. I made a movable door, a movable wall to get it in here that goes out in my other shop. So I can roll that out of the way. So if you guys can see that there, so there's the whole unit. And the whole shop. All insulated, it'll be heated and air conditioned, and hopefully it will run really good and it'll do what I need to do. That's my big hopes. Yeah, most doors are movable, not most walls. So this here, I'm gonna show this off too. See if the phone will adjust to this. So on the laser shop door, I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's an artist, 16-year-old artist. I had her paint this mural on my door for my laser shop. And yeah, ooh, a mural. Isn't that great? It's pretty awesome, isn't it? So, okay, Spencer Coots. Take care, brother, if you go into bed in a few minutes. Thank you for visiting. So, yeah, so the idea behind this mural, yeah, this is my daughter's trade here, is doing artwork, that type of stuff. Yeah, she's 16 already. It's crazy. In fact, this year's my last year for having any kids that are not teenagers. Which is insane. Makes me feel really old. Yeah, so yeah, she does a really great job. So the kind of the idea or the concept behind this mural, hopefully everybody can hear me okay over that air blower that's going on, is so the idea behind this mural was I wanted to take and project kind of how like industry has kind of died, right? How the whole forging industry and like industrial revolution and all the cool things that we know and love, automatons, robots, that kind of stuff, how all that's kind of died, or how weeds have grown up through it and stuff. Because, a lot of people say blacksmithing's a dying art, right? Or no one does that anymore. And so I wanted that to kind of lead into, so this natural environment. Of course, we live in nature up here in northern Michigan. So I wanted it to kind of blend into this landscape and then have two smiths working in the background with a dilapidated old blacksmith shop and yet there's still a flicker of life and hope. So if you notice how all these gears kind of go and point to that, a little flicker of light and hope. that, you know, people are still swinging and people are still working. And then an extra touching thing, I had this planned before my shop help Thomas passed, and she captured his likeness and immortalized him here on the shop wall. Yeah, that's Thomas. So my daughter Abigail painted that. So this way I would have remembrance of Thomas as me and him are still working together in the shop. So, yep. So I thought that was a good thing. So obviously that's a kind of a caricature of me with my Christmas beard on, with my curly mustache, which I normally do, and I usually wear flannels through the winter and look very Christmassy. And then there's, you know, Thomas helping me forge something like a scroll, you know, or whatever. That's pretty good. She even captured, so Thomas, God love him, I was always getting on to him about, he would throw all of his garbage, like in his forging station, it was always a wreck, it was a mess. So she even put kind of a pile of used tools over here to kind of symbolize, you know, Thomas's kind of messy nature with working in the shop. You know, on me, I'm more clean and organized, and so she put more of kind of the tools laying everywhere over there, which, you know, again, that was quite touching. But the other thing she added, again, none of this, again, the thought when she started building this, you know, I originally had the idea before Thomas passed, and then she added all this on after him. But she painted flowers. So she painted lilies of the valleys. A lily of the valleys. And for those of you who are familiar with biblical stuff, that's a reference to Jesus and Christ and Christianity. And then there's forget-me-nots that she painted. And so, you know, I forget him not kind of thing. So, yep. So that's her thing, and she's real big in foxes. So she made a fox mom with a bunch of kits, fox kits. She's also an author, so you know she put a little book down there to kind of bring that together. Yeah. Yep. And then, yeah, and then we like the automatons and stuff like that, so he did that. But yeah, the daughter Abigail Adams, 2026, good, so, yeah. Yeah, so a good reminder, you know, it's a good reminder. I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought it was pretty good, so, yeah. And so, yeah. So to answer your question there, Manga, Thomas actually took his own life. So that's hard to say, but that was it was quite shocking, quite sudden, obviously, as you might think, and so yeah, so he didn't pass from any sickness, or you know, I guess he passed from an ultimate sickness there. But, you know, or any other way there, but, yeah, so, like I said, that's, it was a bit of a touch subject for sure. But, yeah, that was at, the end of February, early March, this year, you know, so definitely in the spring. So definitely threw us through, quite the thing, whirlwind around here, you know. I myself haven't quite recovered from it. I know a lot of people just kind of moved on and they're all good and everything. I haven't been quite right up top thinking about them. Just stupid stuff. You know, there's stupid things that like will make me kind of ball up and bawl like a big baby. Realistically, it just dumb stuff, you know, like I was buying safety glasses at Harbor Freight, and normally I'd buy a boatload of safety glasses for me and Thomas, you know, and I I don't know, I just came to the realization I was buying too many safety glasses. I'm not going to wear them all. You know, I always made sure they were in good supply for when, you know, you had two men running off of them. And so we would, you know, we'd wear through them pretty quick. And so now I'm wearing through them at about half the rate that I was originally wearing through them. So just stuff like that, you know, get me in the feels sometimes, things like that. But like I said, yeah, it's weird. It's strange. It's definitely strange. But, you know, I've got some stuff here in the shop, you know, that me and him worked on. I'm very thankful for. We have, you know, we have projects that we've worked on together in this shop. And the shop is filled with a lot of really good, happy memories. And so I'm trying to take and, you know, trying to focus on those, you know, trying to focus on those going forward. And, you know, I have to carry on, you know, I still have to carry, I have a lot of, you know, still have a lot of stuff on my shoulders. I still have the entire business to run. Got YouTube, you know, stuff like that. I'm still a father of 3. Still a husband, you know. Still got all of the parental duties and all the life duties that come with all of that sort of stuff. So, you know, sometimes I just bury myself in the work, and that helps get it by, you know. Can't crumple, I can tell you that much, so. Yep. Yep, that's right. Knight of Tickling Armor. Ticking Armor. Ticking Armor. I thought it was Tickling. Sorry, I've been messing up your scream name. It's Knight of Ticking Armor. Okay, I thought it was Tickling Armor. So, sorry. It would have been better if it was Tickling Armor. I'm not going to lie to you. It would have been better if it was Tickling Armor. I'm just going to say that, so. G.I.J. Forge and Fishing, welcome to the club, brother. Welcome to the club. It's 12:41, but I can't sleep. These ones where Muse would have corrected here anyhow. Oh. Thank you for that edification there, Spencer. I do appreciate that. So, hey, Jack in the shop, thank you so much for being here. You take care, and hopefully you join us for another live stream. Next week, next Friday night, we will be actually having a giveaway live where we'll be giving away a whole anvil. So we'll actually be giving away another Amazon anvil, probably like this one. We're gonna be giving one of those away, hopefully, in the next live stream. So. J.I.J. Forge and Fishing. Roy, do you all like watching movies? If so, what type of movies? I'm a big science fiction dude. I don't know. I romantic comedies, older romantic comedies. I don't like the newer stuff. I like watching romantic comedies, like, you know, aka chick flicks. I know that sounds silly. I don't know. I like good-hearted stuff. I like things that are just kind of like, I don't know, they explore space and reality and those sort of type of things. You know, they're interesting. As long as they're not too gory or grotesque or something like that, I don't like that. But I do like science fiction movies quite a bit. I think they're pretty funny. You know, it's fun to watch and stuff like that. Woohoo! Alexis, a cool 2:15 in the afternoon there. That is late. I mean, early. I mean, middle of the day. Yeah, it's just 12:44 here. So. I like all sorts of stuff. I'm not really the type of movies that I love most, and these are the type of movies I love most, are ones that have a twist that you didn't see coming. Those I really love. Those where you're kind of like, oh, those are the best movies for me. You know, I like that. Spencer Coots, thank you for stopping by, brother. God bless you. Have a great night. And thank you for all the encouragement as well. So that's kind of my thing. I like stuff that has, you know, surprise endings, good surprise endings. I don't like those bad ones, you know. I don't know. Well, I can take a few bad ones every now and then. Bad surprise endings, they can be fun. But I do like movies that are real head scratchers. I like those. One of the things I am hoping to do, I think I'm going to. So one of the things we've been working on Friday nights, and I look forward to getting back into. This is something I've been struggling with to find a little bit of balance around here since early this spring. But I want to hopefully get back to shooting a lot of YouTube content here in the near future. So I'm looking on to doing some things to change, trying to make things to where I can free up my time, just have a much better balance of the way I work every day. So this way I can keep up with stuff and everything. But one of the things we've been forging on Friday nights have been this kind of fancy hook that we've been going into. We're going to be doing a lot more of this. We've already got it mostly there. Put a fuller groove in there. Basically, it's almost ready to be bent up. There's very little less for us to do on this. It's hard to fit the whole thing. But yeah, so hopefully we can finish that up in the next live stream. And that's my goal, is to finish it up, because I want to move on to some other stuff. I have a whole head of ideas of things I want to do, and I have a whole head of ideas of things I want to do for live streams. You know, I want to get on to some other projects, and it's probably going to end up requiring me. It's probably going to end up requiring me to do some work off camera on some of the projects I want to do. That one we're going to finish up. We did every step, and I'll just have to do a recap, you know, because I'm not doing live streams every week. I do them once a month, but I could drag a project like that out for a year plus. So we don't want to do that. But yeah, that whole thing is probably I would say sitting at about 18-20 inches right now long, and it'll curl up. Curves eat up material, so it's gonna roll up to a really fancy looking hook, but it's gonna be nice when we get done. So yep, one of the ideas that I have, and I'm deciding on whether I want to do a live stream from it, do a bunch of live streams on it, just to do it, or if I wanted to put it into a video. And I might actually film clips while live streaming. That way you guys can see it kind of behind the scenes for the people who are watching live streams. You can see bits and parts of it. I might work on it during live streams. But I have a very old acetylene tank there from like forever ago. That type thing. I don't even know what it is. I was told it was an old acetylene tank. It could be oxygen, it could be anything. Type of thing. It's been dead long ago. It's got holes in it. There shouldn't be no problems with it. I'll still run a nitrogen purge through it when I go cut it open, but I'm going to turn that into a shop bell. That whole big thing. So I'm actually going to make that into a shop bell, and I'm going to make some automatons to do the striking and the hammering on it when you pull pull on a little bit of a cord, so. All right, Knight of Ticking Armor. Let's see here. Oh, hey, actual smithing question. These ones have wondered. How do you judge how much material a piece will need? Is it just trained instinct, or are there guidelines, or question mark? So let's see here. All right. How do you judge material? That's a good one to draw up. Let me think if I got a way to easily illustrate this. I might. Let me grab this over here. Let me flip you around and I'll do it on the drawing board here. Soapstone. Work on the soapstone here. Okay, so there's actual math that you can do. I like to say there are scientists, there are mathematicians, and then there's me. And me doesn't know how to do the math around it. So here's Roy's math, if you will, for you, okay? So let's give this an arbitrary length. We're going to say 6 inches. Or 150 mil if you're across the pond, right? So 6 inches. We're going to say this stock is 6 inches long. For the sake of argument right now, we're going to ignore if it has any thickness to it. We're just going to focus on the length of this piece, okay, for volume. If you take and you were to cut this bar in half, whatever thickness it would be, and you were to lay this one out in front of here, we would say we would end up with what? About double, right? So we would end up having 12 inches of material. So one way to look at this when you're making say like a taper, if you need to, say I need to take in half, right? I need to think about how long of a piece I need for a taper. Maybe you drew a taper into a piece. This is how I do this. Say you draw a really long taper. Okay, I need the piece to start off yay long. You want to have a really nice long taper. All you have to do is know what your width is and the length of that, and if you lay that back on itself, remember this plane is coming down here. Think of it like as if you put that on there, but let's say if you, instead of cutting a line straight across, you cut that line diagonal. When you flop that out, it works out to roughly the same volume that you get. So if you want 6 inches of material, you're going to need to draw close to 6 inches of material. Now that is assuming you're not taking into consideration any of your thickness of your bar. And these are just roughs, right? So this is just an ideal, right? The easiest thing for you to do is if you have the ability to draw something simple. Let's say you want to make a scroll. You draw out the scroll in a set parameter, right? Maybe this scroll needs to fit in a box, a rectangular box that is 6 inches or 150 mil, right, by 3 inches, right, or 75 mil. I'm correct. Say that's what that scroll needs to fit in. So you draw your square, your little rectangle, you draw a pleasing scroll that you would like that to be, and then you either count this off in steps with a pair of dividers, or you can lay a piece of wire on top of this and then stretch it out, and that will give you a rough estimate. Usually I will add about the material thickness or double the material thickness. So say if this is 1/2 inch bar, I will add about 1 inch onto the end of these measurements for the finials. And those are just some rough rules that I go by. So for the most of the time, I eyeball it. If all of your measurements are arbitrary, start at the end, the most complex piece, the finial piece, right? Start at one end, keep working on it, keep working on the bar while it's still attached to the raw, and then cut it off and finish off your other end. So I do that a lot too as well. So basically what I'm saying is I eyeball it. Long way to say I eyeball it. It's one of those things that you will get good at kind of just guessing, really. You'll be able to eyeball it. You'll be able to say, oh yeah, I think that piece will have enough in it. Sometimes you're wrong. Most of the time what I'll do is if it's something super critical, I'll try to do some math on it. Then I will, I'll select what I think would be the right size, and I forge a test piece. Always forge a test piece. Forge out a test piece. If it's on something critical, do it out of something non-critical, right? You don't want to end up ruining a bunch of silica bronze, right, on a scroll that you're trying to make for something that costs $14 a pound. You don't want to take and do that. You want to take and ruin a piece of mild steel instead, right? Until you get all your dimensions figured out, roughly thicknesses you need, and then you can go to the actual material that you're going to be using. And that would be my suggestion. But it's a bit of a feel for me. I do things by eye. I learned from some master smiths a long time ago. I've learned from several different people. The people that I have learned most from have all been, most of the masters I've learned from all do it by eye for the most part. They just kind of instinctively know that has the amount of material they want out of a lot of, repetition and forging that particular finial before. They kind of know roughly how much mass they should have on the end of the bar to forge a particular finial. And that really inspired me that, hey, I don't have to be able to be a super math whiz, right, in order to figure this out. I can do what these guys do, basically, which is guesstimate, and good to go, And so that's my suggestion, is just, get good at doing that. I'm good enough now, and I can prove it. I've proven it a whole bunch on different live streams and things like that in the past. I have proven it time and time again. You can call me out a measurement, and out of any bar of steel, I can forge you a taper dead on to that measurement just by eye without pulling out a ruler out of my pocket. And I've done that out of repetition and time. It's taken a lot of time and experience and repetition to do that. Sorry, it's a little bit grainy. I'm in a dark area of the shop. I got to grab a bolt out of this box real quick for some of these orders I got going on. Forgive me, I'll be with you in just a second. That's all I need. Be up for Rudy Risky. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, so, there's just no shortcut for it, really. I do like, so somebody who's really big on math is Mark Asbury. If you don't know him, you can look him up. He's got a YouTube channel. He is part of the California Blacksmith Association. He headed up for a lot of years the national curriculum type stuff that they were doing out there, and he's really big on math. He's super big on math. So knowing exactly like volume calculations and things like that. But even he will say that it gets you close, The math only gets you close. It's only part of the story. And I do like that idea about math, because we're not working in an exact science, really, in forging, especially when you're hand forging, because the math goes right out the window if you do 2 hammer blows too many, right? If you bring it out super hot and you wail on it a little too hard and it stretches extra than you were anticipating, it might stretch a whole 1/4 inch longer than you thought it should. And so math is, it's so perfect and exacting of a science that it doesn't really work necessarily in the real world sometimes in the blacksmith shop. So I bypass a lot of that. I do a lot of eyeballing. If it's for a gate, if it's for structural, if it's for a railing, if it's for something like that, I take my time. I get good measurements, just regular measurements, doing simple addition, subtraction, some multiplication, some simple fractions. So you don't have to go super crazy. I'm not doing calculus to figure things out. And then I forge samples. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but that's how I have to answer stuff. I answer it in depth. So that's what you get with this channel. Someone who goes on and on and on. Roy forged an 8.4 inch taper on 3/8 square. Got it. Yeah, as long as the one, that's right, Mr. Crawford. As long as the 1, 2, 3s don't mix with the ABCs. That's pretty good. Yeah, JIJ Forge and Fishing. He said, I'm going to try to explain that to my step-grandfather. Math is too exact for blacksmithing. He taught advanced math at Bob Jones University for 50 years. Good luck. He's probably rooted in his ways. Again, math will get you close. It'll get you close, but it doesn't have wiggle room for you, which is not perfect. Math is perfect. You are not. And so no matter what you do, it's going to come out different than the math, usually. I took one class with a master smith called Peter Ross one time, and we were doing a crab lock class. And I laugh about that class because I did not like him for the first whole bit of the class. For like the first 3 days of a week-long class, you know. I did not like him very well as an instructor because I was trying to find out, okay, how exactly did you make this? Okay, you started with 1/2 inch square. I was making a component, you know, okay, you drew it out for X amount, and then you forged this on the end with this much material, and you had that much left over. And every time I would ask for him to explain something again, he would pick up some random piece of scrap that was nothing like the one he started with originally, and he would forge it into the same exact shape, and it would drop perfectly right into the lock. Without a ruler, without calculators, without anything. It was perfect. Damn near perfect every time. He'd just drop it, bloop, and it was like, right. I'm like, that's not helping me, dude. So it was like I was pulling my hair out. I was absolutely pulling my hair out with it. And but finally, after 3 days or so, maybe he got tired of me pestering him. You know, it clicked. It clicked for me when he said, "Stop worrying about what it came from." He said, make part A fit part B and part B fit part C. He said, he's like, it doesn't matter where it comes from. You're making the shape that it needs to be. Make your parts fit your lock. And I finally get it. I finally cracked it. I'm like, oh, and after that, so I was like really far behind on class. Like everyone else was way further ahead. I caught up to everyone else by the end of class when I finally understood what he was getting at. You know, I was focusing too much on trying to be exact on the math and the item and stuff like that because I wanted to make a lock that worked just like his lock. But he told me it wasn't going to be just like his lock because I'm not him and I'm not building his lock. And I'm like, of course, that makes sense. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I learned that, you know, the math doesn't necessarily matter that much when it comes to stuff. So, Joseph Ferrier. Okay, good to know you, Joseph. I'm going to try to remember that. Remind me for the next several streams that your name is Joseph Ferrier. That way I can shorten it up from J.I.J. and all that other stuff. So, yeah, I got people's screen names, but, you know, it's hard to take and remember people's regular names. What's real fun is when I'm trying to take and remember people's, when someone comes up to me at a blacksmithing event or something like that, and they're like, "Hey man, so good to see you." I'm like, "Hey, fella." I don't know who they are, you know. It's like, I'm James. Don't you know me? I'm James. We talk all the time. I'm like, no, I don't. And you know, and their names is, you know, whatever, Billy Bob 135 or something online, but they go by James as a real name. You know, that's the real name, and I'm like, well, couldn't you just lead with that on your screen name? That'd been a lot easier for me to find you. So, yeah. So Joseph, right? Joseph. Let me make sure. Joseph Ferrier. Okay, Joseph Ferrier. Joseph Ferrier. Joseph Ferrier. I think I got it locked in the vault. Probably don't, but trying to. Yeah. Again, I know people's screen names, so if somebody led with, like, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, you know, Bob's Fishing Emporium," I'm like, "Hey, man, I've seen you." You know, but they'll come up and it's not Bob, his name's Frank, you know, but he's the runner of, you know, Bob's Fishing Emporium, you know. It's like, oh, Lord. Move you over here while I work on this real quick. Now I got some packages. Got some orders I got to package up here real quick. I'll close down this unit. So I'm going to be on here for the rest of the evening. Save. No. Wrong thing. 2 and save. Shut this down. Good to go. Turn that off. That boy down. Now this goes in the hole. Go turn off my plasma cutter. Yeehaw. Good to put all the equipment to bed for the evening. That way I could just focus on my packaging orders. That's cool. All right, there we go. Sorry, trying to read. Trying to multitask. Multitasky-taskaroo. All right, now comes the hard stuff. Putting all this stuff, packaging up some guillotine tools I made up earlier. Give me a second. 2 guillotine tools made. And this is my C-frame. Yep. This is my double bay. Not too bad. Good. Joseph, out of curiosity, do you all have mini rabbit blanks? We do keep them in stock. Let's see here. Rabbits. We do have rabbit blanks on the website. We got some rabbit hooks. Got some ornaments. Like that. We got some ornaments. We got some hooks. That's the only type of rabbit we have. Oh, I'm live. Hopefully I'm okay. Yep, so there's a rabbit hook, rabbit ornament. So we do sell them. And I do have some in stock. So, but obviously whatever order level you do, I just cut them. You know, I'll make them to order. That's how I do that. Let's see this. This paint might be too wet. Turn on. Put this on. Make sure everything comes together nicely. So this is my double bay guillotine tool I sell. So this is going out to a customer. We got it all welded up there today. Welded and painted, so that'll be ready to go. And all they have to do is finish their dies up, cut their dies and shape them to wherever they want, and drill and put pins in here. And when you use the lever arm to do this, it lifts up. It lifts either die up. You know, it'll lift the dies up so you can put material in there. So that's a design I came up with there. As you can see, the lever arm would go under the pins, and as you press down on it, it would lift the dies up so you could insert your material, and then down it would go, and you know, and then you would go to forging. So, yep. Yeah, it glitched there for a minute. Hopefully we're in good. So, hopefully you're good. So, yep. So now, so you can have 2 different dies at the same time. I sell a single bay one of these as well, where it's still lever armed and it's just like a regular guillotine tool, C-frame, but it's, you know, it's shaped this way. So it's on the narrow this way, but it has this. One nice thing about my double bays is you can take out that interior, and now you have all this width that's in there, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool feature of it. Just a different way of making one, you know. Yeah, Joseph, if you send us a DXF of what you're thinking, we can convert that and we can cut you a bottle opener out of it. Yep. So, no problem at all. Yeah, this is for a client. This paint's a little tacky still yet, so I'm probably just going to leave it for tonight. I don't think I'm going to package it. I thought I could get away packaging them tonight, but the humidity's a little high right now, so it's probably not going to do it. But I'll show you the C-frames too. Of course, who hasn't seen a C-frame before? Who hasn't seen a C-frame guillotine tool before? There you go. Got that all welded up. Remember, gentlemen and ladies, grinders and paint make you the welder. You ain't. You see? Really nice, clean look. Again, all they have to do is finish cutting their die and turn it to shape. On my C-frame guillotine tools, I've provided like extra depth in here. So this is actually bigger than what you'll find most guillotine tools to be, because I like giving people a lot of depth in there. There's like 3 inches of depth between the die and this sidewall. Because that can be a problem with this style C-frame guillotine tool, is having enough depth back in here. And of course this is open, so you can stick all the way through a longer bar. So, yep. So there you have it. Yep. Not too hateful. Not too hateful. But yeah, my kits, they come with 2 different size. I give them with 2 different hardy stems too as well. Obviously these, someone requested me to weld the kit. They did the extra weld on. They wanted me to weld it, so they upgraded for me to weld it, and they chose what they wanted their hardy stem to be. Otherwise, it comes with hardies. It comes with 2 different style hardies. It comes with a 5/8. It comes with a 1 inch, and somewhere between those 2, you can find the right one for your own purposes. Ugh, I gotta build one of those too. That's right, Alexis. Gotta build one of those. Yeah, it's not a bad design. I think it's fun. I just wanted my own unique take. I wanted something fun. I wanted to do something different. Isn't a whole lot of innovation you can do on a guillotine tool at the end of the day. I mean, so that was my closest thing for innovation that I could come up with. Yep. But yeah, that's come out pretty good. Days. Got quite a bit done today, so that's good. I got that stuff cut. That was huge, getting them berms cut. Got a bunch of wire wheeling and stuff. I got to do those yet. Boy, they down here from that. Oh man, that sucks. So yours are still stuck in a crate, Alexis. That does suck. Yeah, international moves must be tough. I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, at this point in my life, it's going to be hard for me to just move up the road if I wanted to move up the road. I got too much stuff. I just have to sell it all off and start again. I'd have to go back to square one. There's just too many things, you know, too much stuff to deal with. So. Well, I hope everybody's enjoyed this stream so far this evening. I've enjoyed having the company, that's for dang sure. So. Yep, I really have. So, like I said, hopefully we'll get back into some forging here real soon for YouTube videos. yeah, Mr. Robert. I'd have to hire the Amish to help move me. Yeah, I'd have to take a whole herd of them. Oh. You know, when I moved here, I didn't have nearly as much stuff. I would have never thought I would fill it out so fast, but good Lord. I filled it and quick. You know. People said, oh, you know, I'm like, oh man, look how massive my shop is now. I won't ever fill this space. And I had a bunch of older guys that had bigger shops than I do. They were like, oh, you're going to fill it. It'll get filled. I'm like, nuh-uh. No way, Jose. Certainly not. Sure enough, it got filled. Your humor has been compromised. Yeah. How high are my ceilings in the shop? So the total height inside the barn, inside my shop, at the peak, it's 32 feet to the peak of the shop. Yep. Now, in here, this is a low-lying loft. So this used to be an old dairy barn. And because of that, you know, like obviously I got lower ceilings in here. Those are still 10 feet. Those are still 10-foot ceilings. Nearly. They're not quite 10. Because that's a standard door. That's a standard door. But then there's like almost 20 inches above that. To the beam. Yeah, they're 10-foot ceilings. So there's like 20 inches from the top of the door to the beam, and then that beam is about a 12-inch diameter beam, so there's 12 inches up from there. So it's pretty much a 10-foot ceiling. So well, that would be nice. I don't think it's going to happen, honestly. At least not right now. At least not right now. I do have a fun hammer planned. I'm gonna call it a Tommy hammer, and basically I'm gonna make Tommy the automaton, and it's going to be a striking automaton with sledge that's gonna come out on a short little bit of railroad track, and do a little 90-degree turn at the anvil, and be my striking thing right at the anvil. So that's kind of a big plan I've got in the works. Still got to work out a lot of details on that, how to make all that work. So, but yeah, I was thinking steam. That would be cool. It would be nice to create a big steam hammer. I wouldn't even mind it. I actually even considered, maybe even getting into doing some steam, get like a steam engine out here. So I have a sawmill. I have a sawmill to the north of my shop. And so I do cut timbers, and I cut, all my own wood and stuff. I bought that specifically to be able to keep up with the restoration work on the barn, and to build things around the homestead. And so I always have a bunch of slab wood that comes off of that. And I've got a lot of stuff to burn, essentially, but nothing around here, nothing in my home so far or whatever requires wood burning or for wood heat. So I thought it might be neat to get a small little steam engine and power the shop in some way with a steam engine. I thought that might be fun to do. So, which then could turn into, I could go buy one of those utility steam hammers, just buy one and bring it in the shop, and then I would be able to power a steam hammer with a steam engine. And then I could pull on hard and go whoop, whoop when I'm working. It would be awesome. And then I'm probably going to tickle your earlobes there, Mom, as well, to ask you lots and lots of questions. Stephen Parsons, Harbor Freight does not have any power hammers. Their idea of a power hammer are the type that, are like for concrete, like a jackhammer. Good, who can help with boilers. Cool. Yeah, that's right. If you do not have a steam whistle, are you even steam working, bro? Do you even steam, bro? Let's see here. Roy, any suggestions on making a treadle or power hammer I need to be vertical or parallel? So the biggest thing with making something that's an inline hammer, um, think of it in two parts, right? You need an anvil, you need the ram, and then you need something to connect those two parts in line with each other. All the rest of the stuff is just fluff on top of that. Whether you are powering it by springs, powering it by air, mechanically driving it, all of the other stuff is all semantics. You kind of build from there. So you kind of build from the working end back. So whether you're attaching it to a barn or you're you're welding up a big heavy frame, however you want to do it. I've seen people do it all sorts of interesting ways. The main thing that you need to do is just make sure that this portion doesn't do this or this on you. And as long as you've done that, you're in good shape. Other than that, they're pretty well standard. Clay Spencer sells an inline treadle hammer plan, and that's probably what I would that's what I would tell you to go follow if you want to do an inline treadle hammer. And that way you get the best. You kind of get the best advice on that. So, Stephen Parsons, Roy, there can be your next project. Take a jackhammer and turn it into a budget-friendly power hammer. I thought about doing that. I built a small veining hammer out of one of those impact chisels, air impact chisels, and it worked really well for texturing rose leaves. I don't know how. I don't think it would forge very well. Well, I tried it with forging, and you would get fish lips, or carp mouth. So. Yeah, tire hammers, those are a good option inline. Like I said, Clay Spencer, he's got a lot of he had good plans on that. You're not going to beat the plans on the Ray Clontz Clay Spencer redesign plans. That'll point you probably in a much better direction there. Otherwise, it's trial and error. It's trial and error, and I think it's okay. All of my stuff is trial and error. A lot of my stuff has all been trial and error to figure out what works. If it worked, then I'd share it, and that's what I've done. Or I'd make up some plans on it if it worked really, really well. My main shop power hammer is a mechanical held hammer, and I got it as my main shop power hammer plans. And so I've got some plans, some digital DXF downloads online that you can download. Over on the website. I forget what they are in price that I did a long time ago. The swing arm, I will say this about swing arm hammers. People give it a bad rap on swing arm hammers, and there's no arguing about it that an inline hammer, Sanyosuva Dave 217. Hello. There's no doubt that a swing arm that an inline hammer will produce even results up and down, right? That's fair, right? If you're putting tooling underneath it, yeah, it's coming straight down on your tooling. You don't have to worry about an arc, maybe doing some glancing blows or things like that. So yeah, that's fair enough. You can't argue the physics around that. But for a very long time before inline hammers, you have to understand blacksmiths worked with strikers. And strikers never hit perfectly and never hit, whatever. So a swing, they never hit straight or square or perfect. That was the aim or that was the goal, but they never really did. And so in my opinion, they are just as valid of a forging tool as an inline tool. Some of the inline stuff, all power hammers are pretty much inline for the most part, but all of your inline treadle hammers and that type of stuff where the aim has always swing arms and stuff, they're always mentioned to try to come down and hit perfectly square. Um, it's a little over. It's a little overdone. It's not completely necessary. You can adjust to, you know, a strike or a hit coming at a bit of a diagonal. In my opinion, again, it's my opinion. I use my treadle hammer in my shop all the time, and that treadle hammer is flipping awesome for me. It's awesome for me. There's a lot of other people who've bought my treadle hammer kit with air assist and the heavy hammer upgrade, and they love it. And there's been other people like, oh, kit, well, it's a good bypass until I can afford a better, you know, bigger power hammer or something like that. And that's fair. That's fair enough. That's a fair assessment. Inlines are a bit complicated. They get to be a little too complicated, and at some point it's kind of like you might as well just had a power hammer. You know, inline treadle hammers. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They're great, but as I said, they're a little overblown for what they do. You know, as I said, you can get just as much done with a sledgehammer being swung at a piece of iron and at a piece of tooling as you would with an inline hammer. So, yeah, which is perfectly fine, Joseph. If you like straight inline type hammer, go for it, brother. Go for it. It's great. You know, it's good. I can't dissuade it. You know, pros and cons. Like you said, there's pros and cons. I would say swing arms are really easy to build. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a spring holding at a pivot point, going bang, right? And then you just need to have a rope to pull it down to hit something. So as far as the build process for a swing arm hammer, it's a great little stopgap solution. If you don't have a lot of coin, or if you know, if you don't need the 150-pound ram weight of a, you know, and have to overcome all of that with like an inline treadle. Yeah. I also, I was planning on building. I don't know if I'll do it now. I just don't have the manpower in the shop to be able to do it. But I was planning on doing an inline, basically do a utility air hammer. That was originally a concept. I've got a drawing on that already drawn up. I already got prototype pretty much ready to cut, but I decided against it, you know, just because, well, frankly, I just don't have enough manpower. I couldn't put it in production. I'd have to build them one off, and it would take a really long time to do them. So that'll be something for another day. Maybe in a few years, maybe I'll get around to it. Something else will happen. Maybe I can free myself up and build those. But yeah, until then, I'm only going to be offering swing arm type stuff in my own personal stuff. So, Justin, I know how to weld. I'm like 9 states away, but still. Yeah, that's a little bit long of a commute, ain't it? Just a little bit. Does anybody else have any blacksmithing related questions they want to drop on me? I can maybe answer you. Yeah, South Carolina to Michigan. I don't know if that's 9 states, but it's a ways. It's a ways away. D-O-W. What's D-O-W mean, Mr. Crawford? Is it too late? Are you starting to slur? Yeah, down by Yamas. There you go. So, am I right to say this, Manga? It's Jeremy, right? Might be wrong. Is that your real name? I thought it was. Manga 12. Sweet! I got it! I remembered. Cool. Yeah, so, Jeremy, what weight is your automaton going to swing? So, my plan was, Thomas's old sledgehammer that he had here in the shop was a 16-pound sledge. And so I plan on putting that hammer, the 16-pound sledge, to work in that. So, yep. Yeah, memory achieved. Cha-ching! This was a role-playing game. I just leveled up. So I plan on having a 16-pound sledge swung with it, which will introduce some real interesting physics, I think, being exerted to make sure it doesn't tip over. Yeah. But I'm planning on the automaton not to... I guess it'll be kind of faux. It's not like it's going to have legs that it walks out on. Not doing that. I'm going to have a really heavy, probably cement-filled base for, like, legs. I'll have some faux legs with apron, like a shop apron on. And then the rest of it will be shaped, and sculpted to look like automaton. And then I plan on using pneumatics, just like what I use for my heavy hammer upgrade, my treadle hammer with my heavy hammer upgrade on it. I plan on using air cylinders in its arm to pull it down, and potentially a spring piston return, for the bicep muscle, basically. And so this way it can swing. And then the other arm, your tilt arm that you would swing with, is literally just going to be on a hinge. It'll just be hinged. It won't be there to do anything. So this arm, the hammer will be slotted into a pocket, into a cup that holds it. And I'm going to shorten the handle up considerably, obviously. That way it's mounted, and then, as I said, it'll come down, and hit. But all of this linkage and stuff, it'll all be done with pistons. So, I've actually got a pretty cool mechanism for that planned, and I plan on filming a whole YouTube video of it, because I think, dude, why not? I mean, I don't know who else is making automatons out there. There's one guy, I think he's a French guy. He's pretty cool, actually, that makes automatons. He makes, like, little stuff. I'm trying to go for this, like, full-size, looks like a full-size man there, so. So you're going to make a cantilever hammer. Pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, I'm thinking about, I'm going to get some of the small mining cart rail track. I'm not sure what size that is, what gauge they call that. I know they go in gauges, right? They call it in gauges for rail track. So it's like for like the small, either like miniature trains or like your mining car track. Yeah, so a gauge of some kind. I'm looking for, I'm going to want a small one. And I'm going to lay in some little rail ties a whole bit and make it to where it turns at the end. And my plan is that they can have a narrow gauge maybe. Yeah, it might be narrow gauge. My plan is to bend those tracks so this way, it can make a turn and it'll be rolling on those tracks. And I will have a little 12-volt DC motor in it that has a forward and a reverse option. So this way, I step on a pedal that's under the anvil conveniently, hidden under the anvil, and then it'll roll out until it kind of hits the stops, and then I can click the pedal again, and it's in place. And then the air itself, it'll be on a line that just kind of follows it in that track, if you will. And so I plan on hiding it really cool. That way it looks like the automaton is striking without, it being connected to anything. So. Gauge is the distance between the rails. Okay. Like I said, I'll have to pick the brain on that. That way I can get the right stuff. Oh. yeah, I don't want anything too big because I don't want to be kicking it all the dang time. You know, I want it to be down. I want it to be fairly. It's going to be a faux little railroad track. I just want to play off of that vibe where it can roll up, and it'll roll up. It'll be, you know, Olga. The horns are this way. You know, I can just drag you all in there and show you. So yeah, I'm wanting it to be where it's in line. Let me just go in here. Woo woo. We're going for a ride, folks. Let me flip you. All right. So yeah, so I'm leaving this space open literally for that automaton. And it's going to stay right over there in waiting. And then it's going to roll out and turn into this anvil. And then it's going to swing from this direction. So bring its hammer down like that. Which I think is fun. So much fun. It's going to be great. And I feel embarrassed for my shop, folks. It is a mess. We have been under some construction around here for a while, and so my shop has not been my own. It's been in various stages of incompleteness. So, yeah, late night Roy rants. Sorry, making everybody sick. I apologize. But yeah, so it's going to be like this. You know, obviously that's like my treadle hammer kit with air assist. So I'll be using an air cylinder for the muscles and a spring return for like the bicep type thing to take and muscle down a 16-pound sledge. Yeah, much smaller though. And then it's going to come, like I said, it's going to come out from there, probably close to the fly press. Probably pretty close to the fly press here. It's going to be probably right in fairly tight. I might even move the fly press over just a skosh. And then it's going to come out and just wheel out, maybe even give it a squeaky wheel noise and let it rotate into that anvil, which is going to be really flipping cool, I think. And then I can do my striking and stuff with it. Then one of the other weird plans I have when I get that done, because that's the big one I want to do. Like I said, I've left this space, and you know how nature abhors negative space. I left this space specifically for that project this year, so hopefully I can get to that soon. Then my plan is, this forge is going to be going away. I'm going to do a restoration thing on this. This is my very first forge ever. This forge is going to go away. And I'm going to actually be digging and building a full stone hearth in here. And when I have the stone hearth in here, I'm going to actually, the actual blower for it, I'm going to have a hand crank blower, but I'm going to have an automaton turn the blower. Right? So I'm going to have like a little small shop boy size like a bellows boy bellowing the forge, you know, on a little rheostat motor that I can control. So it's going to be awesome. So that's the big plans. That is the big plans for this space. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I plan on putting in, like I said, a big stone grate hearth right where that forge is sitting. And then for those who asked about so Kennedy Family 100, hello. Good to have you here. So that stone hearth is going to go up about 10 feet or so. The stones will in total. 10, maybe even 12 feet. And I'm doing that to save myself. And then there will be a big decorative hood, stainless hood on top. And then all the way up there is where it'll go out, the roof. So for those of you who asked, that's how tall my ceiling is. That's, again, 32 feet to the peak. So, pretty crazy. But yeah, so I plan on doing, like I said, if you can just picture a really nice stone hearth up about 10 feet, then stainless steel hood with stainless steel pipe to go all the way up and out. Yep. Knight of Ticking Armor. Yes, I have thought about the automatons. So the bell, so the 3 big automatons I'll have the Tommy hammer, which will be here. Tommy the automaton, that'll come out and do my forging right here, the anvil. I will have the bellows boy automaton that will be cranking my blower. That's the hope. And then the bell, I will have the shop bell that will actually go all the way up on that beam there. So it's actually going to go on that beam. Can't do it without this thing focusing on my finger. So it'll go on that beam, and it'll be 2 hammering blacksmiths that'll be hammering the bell when you pull on the cord. And then I'll have some roping, you know, I'll have like a rope or a cable that'll come over here, and it'll drop down close over by where I work, so I can pull on the bell stuff. So I can go ding ding like that. So I go ding 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 ding, that kind of thing. So take care, Deranged Metalworks. Thanks for stopping by and hanging with us, brother. Take care. Sleep good. So I think that'll be a pretty neat thing. I like wild and whimsical stuff, so I'm looking forward to doing in that. Like I said, big plans. We'll see if I can get around to all of them. Hopefully I can. Hope to do all that. It's going to require some forged fab, and I'm okay with that. You know, I have a way of going, like, I want it to be all riveted together, and I want it to all be old-fashioned, and I want to do it all traditional. And the facts are, I'm just one guy. I don't have time to do everything super traditional. It'll be cool enough, even if I have to bring out the old buzz box and weld a few things up and grind them down to where you can't see that it was welded. That's fair. You know, or if I got to do a few faux rivets into it to get the looks that I'm after. It's mainly the looks and the cool factor, right? It's the coolness factor. Obviously, an air cylinder is not exactly traditional blacksmith work, right? Doing a bunch of air piping. So, yep. I like that. The majesty of our wants must bow before the harshness of our reality. I love that one. That's a good one. Good way of speaking. Good way of speaking it. That's fun. Oh, so yeah. So hopefully that'll all turn out pretty well. We'll see. So those are like the 3 big automaton projects that I want to do. And like I said, I'll have that big great stone hearth that'll be cool. I got all the stone for it. I just have to take time to build it, pretty much. I have all the stone to do it. I've got all the plate I need and things. I pretty much have all the stuff I need to build the Tommy automaton. Got all that stuff. I just have to get after it. So, just have to get after it. One of the things I made just recently, I'll throw this out there. Say just recently. It was around spring of this year that I did. I did all this for a MABA get-together, a Michigan Artist Blacksmith Association get-together. This is some scroll work I had forged. It's got a little blossom on the end. Cantus leaf. And I just went with black on this. I just did basic black. I did a blacksmith finish on it just so I could get it done. Let's say it was done, do something like that. But that's the kind of work that I like doing. This is the type of stuff I'm really into. It's the stuff I like to do for clients, things like that. So that's the kind of work that I do, but it takes time. I love my French Baroque ironwork, but it takes an immense amount of time to do, and so it doesn't happen fast. That's the one problem. It does not happen very fast. But this shop is getting quite the eclectic mix of ironwork, quite the eclectic mix of my, everything from failures to planned awesomeness in it. And yeah, in general, I'm pretty happy with it, where it's going. And I think where it's going in the future is coming out pretty good. Thank you, Kennedy Family 100. That looks awesome. Awesome. Glad you like it. And then the ooh from Ticking Armor. Oh, glad you all like it. Ooh, man, I could turn that off. That was a fan. I didn't realize I was yelling over that dang thing. All right. Oh, we'll roll this open and gotta shut this lights down too. That's one problem with a decently large shop. There's always a lot of stuff to check over before you go call it a day for the night. You know, that sort of stuff. I always like to try to shut things down. Whoa. Whoops. Got dark. Got dark. There we go. Now we close that shop down. That's good. I shut down this table. I forgot to shut down the computer on the table here. Call it a day for a night, Roy. 2026. Three's poopy, 5 me. I have no clue what you're saying. I have no clue what you're saying. Is it? You said it's 3 a.m.? How late is it? Oh yeah, it's almost 2 a.m. here. So where I'm at, my time zone, it is 1:50 a.m. As you can tell. Oh, internet. My internet okay? Or is it your guys' internet? Hopefully we're good. Okay, cool. It's fine for you. Good. Too spooky for you. Okay. It was like 3's poopy for me. I'm like, okay. Sounds like a problem between you and your physician. You gotta love when stuff corrects, right? On the spell check. So anyway, well, I think I'm gonna go. I'm sure my wife's probably wondering where the heck I am. I'm gonna probably call it an evening for the evening. Go inside, try to wind down, and see if I can't tell this brain to shut off. Finally, it probably won't, but I'm gonna do my best to do so, and see if I can't get to bed. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. It's been great. On evenings like this, it's nice to, I don't know, have something else to think about besides being in one's own mind. So I really do appreciate you all for hanging out with me. And I hope you guys enjoyed the stream enough as it is. Couple quick things before I go. I do want to let you guys know that next Friday we'll be having our Friday night live stream, our regularly scheduled programming. That Friday night live stream will be a giveaway live, and we will be finishing, hopefully, if the creek don't rise and hell don't freeze, we are going to be finishing that hook that we've been working on, that super decorative hook, and that is the goal for next week's live stream. That is the goal. We'll get that done, and we will also be giving away an anvil in that live stream because this is also our 10-year anniversary on YouTube. So we decided to give away 10 anvils this year because of to celebrate with you all and to give back to everybody. So next week, if you can join us, great. Please be there. Tell a friend. Show up or tell no one. And so that way you increase your odds of winning. That's fair too, as well. But I enjoyed hanging out with everybody. I enjoyed hanging out with some of the new faces on the channel. Welcome to everybody who's just joined us and things like that. And any of the lurkers out there. Again, thank you all for being so supportive and being here. Really appreciate you all. And I think that's it. And I think we're going to catch you all on the next one. And it is Joseph, J.I.J. Forge and Fishing. And manga is Jeremy. Ha! Got you both. And we don't know Knight of Ticking Armor. We don't know their real name. But we'll get it next time. So, all right, everybody. Take care. God bless each and every last one of you. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. And we will see you next Friday at 7 to 9 p.m. for the Forging and Giveaway Live. So, talk to you all later. Take care and sayonara.